By the way, you can go to Mid-Major Mad's college sports newsletter at theprobqueen.com, and you can check out all his insights on college sports, which we're doing college football, and of course, college basketball will be up ahead. But college football this week, you gave me two different newsletters you give out, which one went out this morning, another will go out tonight at theprobqueen.com, where you tell us all the best spots and the worst spots for certain teams. So give us a little bit of insight into which teams that we should be looking at this weekend.
This is Style Point Saturday, basically, is what I'm calling it. It is teams that are either in the playoffs and want to score a lot to make sure they stay in, or teams that are just out of the playoffs that want to score a lot to make sure they get in. This is, in some respects, and this is famous last words, like these last couple weeks are quote unquote easy weeks to handicap, because motivation is such a huge thing these last couple weeks. You have teams that have nothing to play for, and they clearly show it, so you're fading them. You have teams who are trying to get into a bowl game because it means a lot, and you want to play them. You have other teams that are already in. This is also easy game week because a lot of the SEC teams like to play FCS and lower-level opponents before their rivalry games this weekend. And one of the things I found, and I posted it on Twitter and in the newsletter, our guy Kirby Smart down in Georgia is not a guy you want to play in large number situations, especially the week before Georgia Tech. He is 0-4. It was either 0-4 or 0-5. I think 0-5 as head coach of Georgia the week before Georgia Tech as a 35-point favorite or more. And so, like, I know a lot of people will look at that Georgia-Charlotte game. Georgia's going to win, but Kirby's never a guy who is trying to embarrass his opponents. He's not a guy who's trying to go out there and cover the spread in that situation. I mean, there were games where they played UMass and UMass scored like 28 points, which is something they never do. So I think that looking at the trends for the coaches are so huge. So a couple of teams for Style Point Saturday. First off, JMU. JMU is a team.
Oh, good, because J-Buff was asking if you like JMU this week.
There you go. Yes, I do like JMU this week. And I'm not just saying that because I host a JMU show here in Richmond. But I like JMU because they're on the outside looking in. This is their final home game of the regular season. They have heard nothing but people saying they don't belong in the college football playoff. Washington State flying cross country for a 1 o'clock start time. The body clocks are going to be off. I think JMU has every incentive to score a lot of points. I took over 3.5 touchdowns. I got it plus 105. I gave it out on the app. Because all my plays are tracked on the Action Network app, so that way everybody can follow along with what I'm doing. Another team that wants to score a lot of points this weekend is Notre Dame. They're probably going to run the score up on our team tomorrow. Our alma mater is going to lose by 1 million. We're starting a lacrosse player at quarterback. It's not going to go well. So, and Notre Dame, the two teams that everybody talked about last week were Notre Dame and Miami. Notre Dame, who lost to Miami, was 4 spots ahead of Miami, even though Miami beat them and they had the same record. So Notre Dame has 2 easy games left on their schedule. They don't have a conference championship game. They've got to go out there and destroy Syracuse. They've got to go score a lot of points. I took over, 41.5 points for them. So they have to score a lot of points. And Miami, too, I don't know how they're going to do it because it's in Blacksburg, and they're taking on Virginia Tech, who just hired James Franklin. Now, James Franklin's not going to be the head coach for this game, but you would think the roster might want to put forth a really good effort for their new head coach because he's, going to be grading everybody and deciding future rosters. The caveat here is Tech is not going to make a bowl game, and they have their huge rivalry game against the in-state opponent, Virginia, next week. And if they beat Virginia, it knocks them out of the ACC championship game potentially. So I don't know what the effort's going to be like for Virginia Tech. That's why I'm staying away from that game. But there's a lot of style points potential this weekend. There's a couple of other teams that I put in the newsletter, and you got to get the newsletter to find out the other ones.
They asked, what's your best college football straight bet this weekend?
So I don't do a ton of straight bets in college football, only because I think team totals are the way to go. And I think the touchdowns market are the way to go. I think I like SMU money line this weekend. Louisville is very injured. Their top 2 running backs are out. Their third running back is injured often. Louisville's lost 2 in a row. They're losing steam. They're losing momentum. SMU's coming off of a very late bye week, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, to get healthy. They are at home. It is a short enough number. If I can get a money line in college football and not have to, rely on field goals and stuff like that, then I'm going to take the money line. So I think SMU money line is my my favorite straight bet of the weekend because I think they're going to straight up beat Louisville this weekend. I just don't like where the Cardinals are at right now.
You mentioned Georgia earlier and how they face Georgia Tech next week. Craig Abel says, I like Georgia Tech to win by a touchdown against Pitt. So how does Georgia Tech then play the week before Georgia?
So here's the thing about Georgia Tech. They still need to win to get into the ACC championship game. So like there's trends for them, but I didn't really look at that because they have to win. This is a team that has to win. If they don't win, then they need other things to happen to get into the ACC championship game. So they can't really overlook this game. Now, here's the thing. If they lose this game, but then beat Georgia, don't make the ACC championship game, I guess they have a very small shot to make the college football playoff, but they need to focus this weekend. This number is very short because Georgia Tech has not been great like the last couple games. They should have lost at Boston College. They played terrible in Chestnut Hill. They should have lost to Wake Forest. The conference screwed them in that game, didn't call late offsides that would have given Wake Forest the victory in that game. So Georgia Tech has to play this weekend. They can't look ahead to Georgia. And then the other thing was BYU and Cincinnati. So I'm a huge Cincinnati fan this weekend. I need a tie between 4 teams in the Big 12 to help my Utah bet. So I need Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is actually the side here. Cincinnati at home against BYU. I like the Bearcats. They're getting healthier. They're a pretty solid team. I know BYU has to keep winning because BYU wants to make the conference championship, and they were on the outside looking in of the college football playoff rankings. So they need to win this game. But I like Cincinnati this season. I thought they've played some good football. They had some injury issues. Their quarterback is awesome, Brandon Sorsby. So I kind of like Cincinnati in that game.
Last question before I let you go. Casbra93 asked, any hangover for OU?
So I like Missouri a little bit more now because Missouri's starting quarterback looks like he's going to play, although I don't love their starting quarterback anyway. But you have to wonder, considering who Oklahoma beat the last 2 weeks, like they're home, so that's going to help. But I don't think I could take them to cover. I think they win. So maybe if you want to throw them in a money line parlay with somebody else. But you're right. There is hangover potential for Oklahoma coming off the road win at Alabama, and Missouri's run game. If they can get that going, that shortens the game a little bit and puts more pressure on Oklahoma to score. So the lean is to Missouri here. I like where your head's at. I do think there's a chance for a hangover for Oklahoma this weekend.
And if you want to hear any more of those hangover spots, letdown spots, sandwich spots, Matt's got you covered over at the PropQueen.com newsletter, at Mid-Major Matt's college sports newsletter. Matt, good luck to those bets this weekend. Thanks as always for joining on Mondays and Fridays. I will see you on Monday.
Sounds good.